Pre-calculus students, we are talking Chapter 1, Section 1, domain and range right now. Now, I've got another word that we didn't talk about on this, and it is called a relation. A relation. Now, a relation is simply a set of points. Call them ordered pairs, whatever, but it's a set of points. This is clearly a relation. Now, whether or not it's a function is something entirely different. It may be a function, it may not be a function, but we will look at that in a second. But first we need to talk domain and range. The domain is, another way to think about it, is the x values. Try to write that really neat there. And the range would be the y values. And I want you to totally remember this forever. The domain is the x values, the range are the y values. And that does relate to the xy axis when you graph it. But for an ordered pair or a point, this is the x, there it is, and that's the y on each one. xy, 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 all points are like that, always. So if I said, what is the domain, we'll make a little squiggly, and we'll list all the what are called members of the domain, all the values of the domain. And okay, so that would be what numbers? Well, it would be 4. And it would be, so you put a comma there, it would be 5, that's an x value, and it would be 6. 4, 5, and 6. Those are the domain. This is nothing more than 3 points. We'll graph this in a second. Find the range. Well, the range is 4, 4, and 4. But you don't have to write it 3 times. Just write 4 inside the little squigglies. So that's the range. The range is 4. Now to figure out whether this is a function, I'm going to show you a graphical way first to look at it, and then we'll get far more formal with the definition of a function in a little bit. So let's look at a quick little graph. All right, so here's an xy axis. This is, of course, the x and the y, and we're going to plot these 3 points. You should be able to definitely do that, but it has been a summer, and I understand that, and sometimes people forget how to do this. So I'm going to plot the point 4, 4 on here. Here's 4 this way, 4 up this way. Go ahead and do it with me. So that would be 4, 4. 5, 4 is the next point. That would just be over one more, so it would be right there. 5, 4. I'm going to write that really small. And then 6, 4 would be right here. 6, 4. So, what we have when we graph this relation is a set of 3 dots. To answer this yes or no style question, it's like multiple choice, is it or is it not? So, is this a function? The answer is yes, it is, because it passes something called the vertical line test. And we're going to talk about that more later. But the vertical line test is basically a straight up and down line. If you can, I'm kind of air drawing this, but if you could imagine a straight up and down line, I'll make it in some kind of wild color here, like maybe light blue. You can only hit, making a vertical line, you can only hit this graph, these black dots, once. If you could somehow draw a vertical line and hit 2 dots, then it would not be a function. It would not be. So in other words, if you had a graph that looks something like this, and make that a little bit darker. If you had a graph that looked something like, that was really straight, but maybe you had a dot here and a dot here and a dot over here, well, that would be called failing the vertical line test, because as you draw your straight line through here, you would hit it twice. And that would be, when it hits it twice, the vertical line test says not a function. If you can only hit it once, we say yes, it is a function. So there was a lot of words in that video, and perhaps you should go back and watch that again, but it's right there for you to enjoy. See you later.